Welcome back, esports fans. It's Gil Frost here with ZP and Hex, and we just got done with, one of the best series we've seen the entire Overwatch Carbon series, and that was LG Loyal almost taking it to, and I feel like this is something we say a lot, is LG Loyal almost taking it to, but in this case, LG Evil. But I want to look forward. We've got compLexity versus Team Liquid next, and this is a match I've been looking forward to mostly because compLexity has looked actually really strong in the last couple of weeks, and they were the biggest question marks. Most of us had them at the bottom of the barrel with our early predictions, mostly because of their roster just disjointedness. What have we seen the last couple of weeks from compLexity and then also from Team Liquid?
I think we rightly had compLexity at the bottom of the barrel coming into this tournament because they're not a consistent team at all to begin with, and then they lost 2 tank positions right off the bat coming into week number 1. They've had various iterations of that roster and various kind of success. However, meanwhile, while all that inconsistency has been happening, the most inconsistent part of their team, the DPS, have been playing phenomenally consistent by their standards.
It's a case where it's kind of similar parallels to Team Liquid here as well, where Team Liquid, they've been getting better contribution out of their DPS. Well, so has compLexity. And compLexity, they've been dealing with even more turnover than Team Liquid has. Team Liquid, of course, they've had swap-ups where they start with Louis, then they switch him up, and they finally end with Shatter. Well, compLexity, they've been swapping up 2 players almost every week. So compLexity's been dealing with a lot of inconsistency in their final 2, but their core 4 have been remarkably consistent after week 1. And that's why compLexity is still in this and why they can still qualify for the playoffs.
And the difference between the inconsistencies in like Team Liquid and Lumen or LG Loyal versus compLexity is able to finish games and finish best of 5 series ahead, and so they're 3-3 right now, and that was after starting 0-2 after a rough week 1. So since week 1, they're 4. Boy, I almost did really bad math there. They're 3-1. And coming into against Team Liquid, they are looking to try to even potentially challenge that second place spot, as the Renegades, well, they've got a tough lineup ahead of them. They've got to play Immortals twice, and then they do have to play LG Evil again. And so coming into this one, if we're taking a look at the match, Team Liquid, this is their final shot. If they don't win here, they can't make the playoffs anymore, as they need to be able to pull compLexity down a little bit so that they can get back up, and this is it for them.
And just to be clear, too, they are not in control of their own destiny here, where if they were to win out, they would just get in. This is just to entertain the idea that they can still make it forward. They actually have to just win this here. So now they're in that interesting playoff situation where not only must they win, they also have to start becoming avid fans of teams that they want to win to put them in that position. So Liquid, to say they have an uphill battle would be kind of minimizing it. But if they do want that miracle story to happen, it has to begin here in this matchup.
Yeah, it's a maybe if they win, but it's a definitely no if they lose. Let's take a look at the roster first for compLexity coming into this one. As there have been a few changes, it looks like we are going to see Meza on that tank. There was some question as to whether he would be in, but Nesh and Meza are their 2 newest players, on top of the consistency that we've seen out of Shake, Joe Meister, Nicholas, and Torque. So what are we expecting coming out of this roster in this matchup?
I think one of the questions you have to look at right away is, what is Nesh going to do? We've seen teams need that third DPS to complement certain compositions that they run. His Genji was notable at certain points in times. I haven't seen enough of him to really formulate a strong opinion, but that's where my eyes are going to be. I'm also really thrilled that we have 2 tanks in this upcoming match named Meza and Mezer. That'll be really fun.
We actually dreaded this matchup going, I hope if they still have Meza on the roster by the time they play Team Liquid, this is going to get real confusing real fast. So if LG Evil versus LG Loyal wasn't enough here with Super Pluke versus Super, now we get Meza versus Mezer as a little bit of extra oomph to that. But one thing I'm going to say here is that I think you might be underrating Nesh a little bit. I did really like what we saw from Nesh. It gave compLexity a Genji option that they've been lacking for a very long time. And you think about it, that's actually very similar to the story in Liquid, where going into week 1, neither of these 2 teams had Genjis. They just didn't. They couldn't play it well, and now they both have Genji options in the players they have brought in. So it goes to show you how much things can develop over a multi-week period.
Yeah, I thought Nesh did really well. Meza, he he wasn't as much of a liability. There were a few times when he went in and he died early. Maybe he didn't position correctly for his team, but they were able to pick up victory with him. And so it'd be curious to see how they have meshed over the last week, as they've had a little bit more time to solidify their roster. And I definitely think it is interesting looking at these two teams from that Genji perspective. They're both going to be fielding new Genjis on the roster potentially if we do see Genji. But let's take a look at the player to watch for compLexity. It's not going to be a prolific Genji player, but in the least, it's going to be Torque. And honestly, he has played a lot of Soldier, but he's one of those ones where who is his primary?
I've called him a Mario before
Yeah,
from Mario
yeah.
Kart, and I stick by that. He's good at everything, average along everything. There's worse things to be than Mario and Mario Kart. The matchup I want to look at here, though, is Torque is going to have to face off against compLexity's age-old enemy and airborne hero in Pharah, because Team Liquid will run it even when it's not working all that well for him. And it's going to be Torque, who's Flash a little McCree, too.
Right, he's Flash McCree, but recently, if there was a hero he's strongly identified with, it has been Soldier 76, where 76, very strong, knocking people out of the air. So what I would expect coming into this, going in, I think that my baseline evaluation is that though I see paths to victory here for Liquid, I feel like Liquid does not run the 3D DPS setup anywhere near as strong as compLexity in theory can run the 3 DPS setup. I think Nesh, Torque, and Nicholas is going to be a better setup than what we're seeing out of Team Liquid, particularly with ID, who's been far more hit or miss. So I think you put it all together, that is a reasonable reason to go in and favor compLexity over Team Liquid here.
Yeah, and honestly, that leads. Let's look at Team Liquid's roster, because we talk about strengths and weaknesses. And yeah, you look at compLexity, and their DPS has been pretty on point. They seem a little bit more flexible. But looking at Team Liquid, well, I mean, they have some strengths. I think Shatter has been a really good augment to their roster. But honestly, and the player to watch is going to be ID. Let's just jump the gun, because he's the one that sometimes is the key to victory or defeat in how he's performing on somebody like maybe even a Pharah.
One of the founders of this roster, kind of been around for a very long time, very close friends with a lot of the Quake guys on here, but it'd be lying to say he's not on the bubble of this roster for a while. They've tried out his replacements before. They've not been able to find them to stick. And I can understand why that they're not still trying out replacements, because there are games where he shows you, I'm very good at this, but there are games where ID is clearly the weakest link.
Overall, the games where it shows he's very good at is when he's more of an off-tank role. The problem is that now we're running more 3 DPS. Now we're running more 3 DPS. You have the entire situation where you don't really want to run an off-tank. It forces him more into the DPS role. And moreover, he's running Pharah, where they do go all in on supporting the Pharah. They run the Mercy with him. Hang, who is a very talented support player, could be running an Ana, could be running a Zen. No, he's there with ID, so they're putting a lot of pressure on ID to perform here, and it's even more traumatic when he doesn't.
Well, we're going to see, and he's going to have to step it up in a big way. And Kings Row, that is going to be our first map of this best-of-5 series. And Team Liquid, their backs are up against it. They need to find victory in this match. How important is it for them to win this first map, though, based on what we're expecting in this series?
For Team Liquid, I think it's important for them to win every single map and every single stage at this point, regardless if they win a series, if they lose a series. It's not looking great that they're going to get into the playoffs. So they're putting down game tape, audition tape for their teams, for their sponsors. We'll see how it ends up going, but you can't afford a bad performance if you're Liquid. A lot on the line.
Right, and I think something that's really worth noting here when you look at compLexity and Team Liquid is that, let's say Team Liquid, for whatever reason, they're not happy with Team Liquid's performance here and they go, we want to go a different direction. If you do put down the good game footage, there's still plenty of teams that want to get into Overwatch. That's enough to get another team to sponsor you in the absolute worst case scenario for the team. So even if their playoff hopes end here tonight, they still have a reason to play hard, at least going into their final 2 matches in Week 5.
Yeah, but that is still a big if, as they can hold on to playoff hopes tonight. Nothing is really certain beyond the fact that LG Evil will very likely, well, LG Evil is going to make the playoffs. That is a fact. They could take off the rest of the time. It's just a matter of where they're going to seed themselves. But the rest of it's still up in the air, and even though LG Loyal and Team Liquid have had poor overall results, their map wins have been up there, they played everyone close, I know how much that counts for, but regardless, what do you see here from the Team Liquid defense? Anything out of the ordinary?
Well, Team Liquid defense here is going to be one that is relatively solid behind the scenes, and AZK gets a freelance. It's kind of similar to what we've been seeing LG Evil run to some extent, except instead of a freelance Genji, it's a freelance Tracer. And I actually like the idea of a freelance Tracer more because Tracer is just outright more self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And doesn't have to rely on the support of a team behind her.
A lot harder to kill. They will rotate both DPS up top for compLexity, trying to get some damage done, trying to dislodge the opposing soldier, forcing the rewind out of Nicholas right away. They do have their number. Now the tanks are going to be up there, so they've taken the high ground pretty easily. Nesh is in there helping out as well. A rotation from the entire team of compLexity so far, trying to get this positioning.
Well, they are trying to get it, and both teams really going back and forth. Liquid doing it okay, but Rafa gets caught out, ends up feeding that to Torek, and you can't have that happen early on. Sleep dart on Neshkin, perhaps end his life to hang, keeping that hotel area nice and safe, but this is still very dangerous here for Liquid. They have to wait for Rafa to get back into this fight, but compLexity's getting poked down very heavily here, despite Torek getting up here onto the high ground. The rest of his team had to back out a little bit. Still, though, no one's actually coming up to challenge him, and that could be a very critical mistake here for Liquid.
He's also got Genji guarding his back flank. They do get them very low, so now he's going to drop in. He's able to take down a boosted ID who is on that Zarya. There goes Mez as well, falls to a pulse bomb. That is 2 kills as Nicholas cleans up a lot of Torque's work there. Shatter's still alive, taking down Nesh, but that is about it. compLexity will grab first point at King's Row.
compLexity able to grab that, and in the end for Team Liquid, the problem there is that maybe it is because you have AZK on the Tracer. The one upside about running the Genji as a freelancer, you can adapt to high ground more. Tracer, it's a bit more of a jaunt, but even taking that into account, Torque was up there for way too long without any form of really pressure going on him, and eventually it will take you out.
I did like how they devoted a couple resources to holding that high ground, though. You just leave Torque up there, he might be in trouble, but they had Nesh up there guarding his left flank to make sure that even if they sent the Tracer up there, which was very likely their only threat, that they would have a 2v1. So nice work there. Nesh is getting a lot of damage for free here, working his way up to a Dragon Blade. That is an early drop down from Mez. AZK drops 2 in there, going down.
Finally coming out here from Nesh, but he immediately eats the Helix Rocket from Shatter. Liquid still gonna try and pull this back, but they're down 3 right now as compLexity uses Sound Barrier to secure the fight, just rolling over Team Liquid like a tide. Nicholas there at the cleanup, and compLexity right now definitely looking to be holding a very substantial edge over Liquid, as Liquid trying to figure out how they want to hold this. And we have a swap up here. Shatter has had enough of the 76. He's going on this Genji.
He's going on to Genji. Mezer, the Liquid tank, is going to switch to a Winston instead, but I will have to say it's not a great sign to watch Mezer, Liquid's tank, dropping down alone. There's been too many times where he's just not on the same page with his team, and it cost him there in that fight. Already getting in here early onto ID, unable to finish that kill, but Torque goes down in the meantime. In the backlines to AZK, they do finally finish the kill. Mez in to hang down, not a great sign for Liquid. Transcendence forced on this point as they do continue to clean up. It has been all compLexity as they will take the second point.
And Liquid was just disjointed even when they tried to come in and defend that. That was not what you wanted. Almost 5 minutes left for compLexity here, and Team Liquid looking thoroughly outclassed, at least to start out here on King's Row. They will have some tools to bring this back going into the next fight. Lot could depend here on ID, but he's up against D.Va. You're not always up against the D.Va Zarya here. He has to be careful not to toss his Graviton into the defensive matrix. He's going in, and he came real close to doing it there. He used it immediately. A little bit rough, and he did. The Graviton went in.
It's gone. Bye.
It's gone. Goodbye. I warned you.
So much for your Tobelstein. Shake does go down, though, as AZK tries to bring this back for his team. D-Mex the D.Va there. It is 2 very important kills. They do use the Assault Visor there as Nicholas will help out and clean up again. Torque's damage onto ID. They're still unable to take down Torque. AZK trying to bring this back for his team. Rafa on the front lines yet again takes down Meza. It does seem like Liquid will be able to hold this point despite the donation of a Graviton.
Yep, the donation of Graviton. I'm actually very depressed over the loss of that Graviton's life. But Liquid, at the very least, is able to bring it back. I mean, the D.Va is clearly well fed at this point.
That mech runs on Gravitons and Broken Dreams. They're one and the same.
Well, it got a bit of both there in that case, but Shatter, Dragon Blade coming out into the back. Nano Boost, of course, powering. He takes down 1. But it's going to be Nicholas firing right back. Gets the Pulse Bomb on the ID, weaving in between his shield to do that. And now compLexity not going to be retaking this. It's going to be Mezar and Dehang cleaning up the scraps, and AZK really coming in as the rock here to just stop this back.
Both Tracers have to feel like the rest of the team is on their back right now, as Nicholas has gotten kill after kill cleaning up. AZK is probably the only reason why Team Liquid is still on this side of the map, as he has just come up clutch with those Tracer kills. As we have a moment to reset, Nesh is on the D.Va, has a self-destruct. This can be a good point for it, up and over the edge there, at least push them back. Some other ultimates up here. AZK is going to have Pulse Bomb. There goes the self-destruct over the edge.
Self-destruct moving in over the top. Fireworks, not going to get much. Not the greatest fireworks show, to be sure. It is going to be 3 unanswered kills here, and this is going to look compLexity moving right for it. I don't think they need to use the sound barrier there. It's a bit of a waste. They wasn't needed to finish out the fight, but they will finish this out cleanly. And now the question is, can Team Liquid pull this back? They'll have a Graviton in theory here, but you got to think that's just going to be on the prowl to stop ID. We'll see what ID can do on this next, potentially last defensive attempt here by Team Liquid.
Sound Bearer is not going to be available, but JoeMeister can make up for it with heroics on Kings, as we've seen him do that before on this last point. They have to be very careful, this Liquid, to not get back capped, as the cart has been snuck back here before. On teams, Team Liquid has been back capped before as well. 2v2 go down early in this fight as Meza takes him down. AZK, D-Max. It looks like Liquid getting a little bit better of this so far. Nicholas trying to pull out some heroics. Gonna have to use his rewind just to get out. JoeMeister did not get the memo, all alone on the payload. It's
just not clean enough for compLexity to be able to take it there, and the Graviton did enough to take out 2 effectively, and they just bled compLexity slowly there. It wasn't super decisive, but in the end, it's enough to force a regroup, and that's what matters.
1:40 left on the clock to try to finish out this map. Nicholas looking for a Pulse Bomb target. This Tracer v Tracer has been going on, and yet all they're really doing is burning cooldowns for the other person, so it's a little micro battle going on in this game as they look to set up a Pulse Bomb earlier. Tactical Visor does go off. So far, no pay dirt. Speaking of dirt, Nicholas on the nap. Nicholas does not get cleaned up either.
Definitely tasting terra firma there, but still in this fight. Torque coming back, able to take down Shatter, and compLexity now, despite the sound barrier, Liquid able to get another kill.
Right click is good.
Scrap gun to the face, feels bad, man, as Torque now leading the way for compLexity. Fireworks hitting pay dirt. ID did not get the warning, as compLexity now potentially on a victory run. A little bit delay coming out here for Rafa. Rafa is horribly outnumbered. Was going to go to the pit, if not outright killed there by JoeMeister. And now this is all over, but the crime perhaps. Under a minute left, and Liquid is going to need a real special moment to bring this back. Although ID's coming out here, is going to have a Graviton. Graviton comes in, pulls in 3. Now they're going to get a single kill off it. They do! They still might be able to bring this back.
The cleave from the Winston was huge there. Takes on JoeMeister. That's a lot of their healing. They are bringing it back as no kills have come for compLexity. That's another D-Mac from Liquid here.
It was just the right amount of stalling there for the Graviton, and compLexity might have thrown this one away towards the very end. 4 kills here from Team Liquid. Only 20 seconds remaining, so it was on a razor's edge there, but they were not really looking out for the Graviton. And it's Mezar, not Meza, who's able to get the fall through. So 9 seconds left, and I know I say it's difficult to touch a payload again, but in this case, it is very much true. I think they're going to get there, though. So Pulse Bomb comes out, AZK, both supports gone. And so perhaps our compLexity's dreams of finishing out King's Row here. And Liquid very much solidifying here on the last point. Goodbye, Torque. Farewell. Hope you make a splash in the lava at the way down. So that's going to be overtime fading, and compLexity really losing a golden opportunity there, Hex, because you take a look at that, they got the second in record time. It was super fast. And Team Liquid, despite the rocky start with the Eden, Graviton, and all the rest, they were able to solidify, and a lot of it comes off AZK.
AZK for sure bought them the time they needed, but since we looked at one of his faults in throwing away Graviton, ID clutching out the Graviton at the very end, getting onto the cart and throwing that Graviton, allowing his Winston to come out, get all that cleave damage. Credit where credit's due there, but it's also why we say ID can be very good and ID can be very bad, because we saw both of those within the span of about 3 minutes there on King's Row last.
Oh man, the thrown away Graviton was just something that was
just
so
sad. Just hurts.
I just looked at that, and I don't even play that much in the way of Zarya, but we've seen this movie so often in comp where the D.Va is clearly just waiting to bait it out, and then he challenges the D.Va directly and throws away the Graviton. At some point, you just wait for a better opportunity. Don't telegraph it that much, because he was already caught rolling forward, moving, like he was moving in.
Right.
And then you're looking for the Graviton at that point. Why wouldn't the D.Va just sit there and camp on it?
There's no reason to try to outwit a diva in that situation. They didn't even really need the Graviton. They were on defense. You can use it reactively. You can wait for a better moment, ID pressing the issue, punished for it. But, you know, good Graviton at the end did allow them to defend the map. So that means the win condition very easy to resolve here. Team Liquid finishes the map. They win King's Row. If they do not, they lose King's Row. Simple. Simple geometry.
Simple geometry, simple mathematics. Even easier than geometry. It's like simple second grade, first grade.
How dare you? Did you just assume my grade knowledge?
I did.
All right, well, on the offense here, it will be Liquid forcing the issue, taking to the skies. compLexity in the past has had a problem dealing with Pharahs, and I say run it till they prove they can beat it. Torque is on the 76. That's going to be the micro battle. ID, Pharah, Torque 76. Who gets the better of this one?
Well, it is a great opportunity for Team Liquid here to really turn the tables on compLexity early here on King's Row. We'll see if this triple DPS setup that they're running is going to be enough to keep compLexity off guard. And for now, compLexity getting very much poked down by these rockets. They end up getting healed by Shake, though.
Nash.
And look at Nash, gets the back line, takes down 2, or it's really more the front line. It was his own back line, so to speak. But it's enough to really stop the Team Liquid push in its tracks. And though Nicholas gets caught being a little bit far out, he should be able to get back in before too much goes on. Although, no, Team Liquid, they really want to push the advantage here while Nicholas is down. They're diving in with reckless abandon. We'll see if this works out.
Well, the good kills early on was that Nesh was able to take down Mezzer. That's Winston, one of his biggest threats there. Reflected rocket will damage ID before Torque takes him down. Nesh arriving on Genji in this scene right now, going wild. However, Nicholas and Torque, almost called him Nork, that might be a new combo name, I haven't decided yet, have combined for a couple. AZK and Tahang will combine very back and forth here, ZP.
It is certainly very back and forth, but AZK coming back in for Team Liquid. No, they're not able to bring it back forward. He ends up getting fought out in part because of Joe Meister giving him a bit of a juke move there. So compLexity still, we'll see how this works out, but Team Liquid not able to bring this forward here just yet. compLexity holding on this defense as Nicholas getting worked on, but with this resurrection, we'll see if it's up. Shatter pulls out the Dragon Blade, looking for the bit of Final Claim, and gets slapped, but immediately woken up. That was a short nap if there ever was one. Tahang does die for going for the res, and this fight is all over the place. At some point, though, compLexity does need to get back on this point.
Maybe. Torque is just in the corner getting juggled, but gets a healing station. That is going to be enough to keep him alive. Sound barrier for good measure.
Mezar just learned what every fighting game community player has known, which is that you drop your combo, it's going to end in pain.
Sleep darts and watching people get woke from them immediately is very difficult to watch when an Ana does everything that she needed to do and then someone impatiently wakes the snoozer. Not fun to watch. However, this has been a very good defense so far for compLexity. 90 seconds remaining for Liquid to come in. One of their best moments so far. Nesh would be better off just going to use his Dragon Blade. There it is.
Well, Dragon Blade comes out. He's going to be going into a Sound Barrier, though, so this is going to really neutralize in most ways looking to get, but doesn't stop him from taking Mezar's head right off. Still, though, 5v5 on the point. ID raining down some justice, gets on the Shake. Nicholas still alive here, but it's not going to be enough. He can't even keep positioning on the point. So the payload going to get moving here, but compLexity able to buy themselves a decent amount of time. Although I do worry a little bit about the momentum that Liquid might have going into second.
That was a lot of time. They were able to finally get a barrage out of ID. Tahang will switch over, so it's going to be a question as to whether ID feels he can run that Pharah without a Mercy in his pocket. A lot of people do it. Tahang, not necessarily one of them, but he will stay on it, knowing that Tahang is on the Ana instead, just looking for some healing darts above. Looks like compLexity does not want to contest this at anything less of their full 6. Has ID thought better of it? No, just checking corners because Torque's going to rotate up, try to take that top, and Torque, with the right timing, gonna get behind this team.
Well, he's getting behind, doesn't have a tactical visor to go with it here just yet, but might be building up very quickly, almost taking down Pharah as a result, but now they're just ignoring Torque. They're saying, we don't even need to fight this, turn the corner, and Torque had to watch every single teammate die there as he goes in at the very last moment. Definitely not being a hero, so unfortunately, the rest of compLexity was not able to hold the line while he got to work in that back.
It's something that we've seen teams do time and again of trying to flank, and if it's not timed perfectly, you're essentially just giving the other team a 5v6 that they're happy to take. They will get back in here and stall it out. Another fight for second. Torque goes down very early.
Torque just got Bop Shatter slicing and dicing in around the payload. Gets down Nicholas pretty early on here. 3 kills here from Team Liquid. Do we have 4? We do. Just a little bit staggered out, and this will almost certainly be Team Liquid's point. And compLexity now going to be stuck in a similar situation to what Team Liquid was and going to be defending last for a very long time.
I like the holding of the pulse bomb there from AZK. He had a chance to maybe blink in and drop it on the supports, but even if you get kills here, what does it buy you? You're getting free push already. There's really no point to use it. So really nice patient, despite it being a kind of a throwaway ultimate. AZK staying with it. Mezer's also had a much better half here.
Mezar going to activate the Primal Rage, looking to just pop someone into a pit. Oh my goodness, did he get it? No, but it was a good attempt nonetheless. Moving in. And now, still good HP, getting a charge into that backline though. That's one way of ruining Winston's day. And Mezar, solid attempt, but just simply not enough. compLexity going to be taking firm control of the payload once more. And Liquid getting down to 3 minutes.
I don't find anything more amusing than a blind charge out of the nowhere. Don't even see it coming, blindsided by the Reinhardt train. Meza has switched over to that Ryan off the Winston, of course. Mezer is now also on the Reinhardt off the Winston. So both of the tanks getting back to the shield phase of the game. AZK off the Tracer, oddly enough, going to add in a tank of his own with the Roadhog. A very heavy composition for Liquid.
Nicholas went for the pulse bomb pickup there, did not succeed. So slight up doing here for Team Liquid, and they're going to take advantage. 2 immediate kills off of that initiation. The sound barrier a little bit late there for compLexity, not enough to save the 2 people that had fallen. Still though, Torque taking down Shatter, perhaps being able to bring it back, but AZK again being the glue that is holding Team Liquid together. Gets a pick off on the Nicholas, controlling the backline. And now for Team Liquid, they've done enough to really get this payload moving. compLexity down to 1 more fight here, Hex, with 2 minutes to go.
Torque's playing a little bit too cute for my liking. He's always around the back trying to get these flanks. You can play straight up as Soldier 76 and be just fine, but so far he's given up his life in unideal situations. He does come around and find Shatter over there, so this is fine. It's not exactly the entire full flank. You came up and your team's going to support you. He's been playing a little too alone, now bringing it back a little bit. Tactical Visor will be up for him as he took out his opposing number. I would like to see him not go over here, but I guess he maybe heard that. He's got to be careful of hooks too.
Indeed, and now for compLexity, they do have the Tech Visor up for the next fight and Earth Shatter. It gives them a little bit more punchy power than Team Liquid, but not for long. Team Liquid's about to have the similar combination up with a nano boost, no less. That's why Torque right now is taking the initiative. Dropping his ultimate first, but also not in a situation where he's really getting much in the way of targets. The Tech Visor is down, he got nothing out of it aside from a bit of zoning. And Team Liquid going to have a perfect window here, Hex, to turn this right around. Here they go. The ground ton comes in early for compLexity, but the counter Tech Visor is out here by Team Liquid, which is going to be stronger. Here comes the Soundbear Team Liquid, perhaps a little bit late. They already lost Mezar, but 5v5, and compLexity actually rope and doping this reasonably well, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
No, their DPS are still just caught out, not retreating at the right amount of time as Nicholas and Torque go down very easily to AZK, who's just using that primary weapon. Jomas are looking for a hero group, not able to find it. He finds a hook instead, able to live through it though.
Oh, what an Earthshot coming in from Meza at the very end. Knocks down 2. Buying time here for compLexity to get back at the point. Respawns are coming in, and look at Joe Meister. He was down to 1 HP, down to 1 again. Gets healed up. He's on the verge of death repeatedly, but this time actually going to fall. The Graviton comes in here from Team Liquid. ID pulls in 3. Yellow box of victory will be successful. And Team Liquid almost out of the ashes, able to take map 1 away from compLexity.
3 to 2.
Well, this was going to be a difficult game or series to call, and it's starting out living up to our expectations. Team Liquid and compLexity, organizations that have been in Overwatch for a long time, players who have largely been in Overwatch for a long time, roster stability for, 2/3 of these rosters. This is a new addition. Shatter on Soldier 76 will be the play of the match.
What it comes down to here is defense on last. I think overall compLexity had a fine showing, except for what was their attack on last compared to Team Liquid's defense, because this very easily could have been a case where compLexity had gone through with a whole lot of time remaining, but they didn't. And their defense normally would have been fine if their attack was similarly good, but it wasn't. So in the end, it's Team Liquid pulling away with the win.
There were some moments where Torque, I thought, got himself out of position on those 76 plays, most likely, in the tactical visor. It's doubly upsetting because how well Nicholas was playing on his Tracer, that you didn't need to be out of position to pressure the backline. Nicholas was already doing a fine job of getting to those supports in the backline. You need Torque alive to be consistent pressure frontline to win shield battles and things like that. Got a little too cute a couple times, and I think it cost them.
Well, and I was going to ask about that because, he the first time we really saw him trying that flank was on the push towards second.
Yeah.
He went in and got that high ground flank, and the response well, we just don't have to worry about this. We're going to kill the rest of your team. It's essentially a 5v6 with some damage from the back. And then, I mean, how else did that manifest itself?
That flank was 10 meters too late. The cart was already around the corner. They could just take cover behind it. And also, I think at that point, he should have learned his lesson. All right, the flank didn't work. And then he did it again, and he did it again, and it was frustrating.
The one thing that is worth knowing, though, at least on the very first flank, is that, yes, he was late to the party, but that's also late depending on what the rest of his team was doing in defense. If the rest of complexity is able to create a decent front line there and just buy him time to go from the back, he looks like a god because he probably takes down 3 people. So that doesn't quite happen in a vacuum, but for how the rest of complexity was playing, Torque was late to the party, and that's a problem with crazy plays like flanking. You're either the hero that's going way up, or you are the villain that is just way too late and you're going down.
Yeah, you're either out of position or you're in, oh my gosh, what perfect position there.
It's a very thin line.
Yeah, well, and he actually did get a lot of damage onto ID's Farah, and it forced Farah to go forward in the fight. And I remember I was just thinking, I'm like, oh, well, that's beautiful. Hopefully they're just calling out in comms, Farah's lit, kill Farah. And on the other side of the battle, they were just all dying, so they couldn't do anything about it. But here's the question I have from that one. Is Liquid pulling a liquid? Are they liquiding us? And of course, liquid in this case being the verb of to make you believe in them and then, dropping the ball. Are they doing that now?
I mean, it's Liquid. So the answer is, who knows? Maybe, probably.
Yeah.
We'll have to see, because the problem with Liquid is that, and the reason why they've been a frustrating team to watch, in a similar vein to how LG Loyal played earlier tonight, is that you have a situation where they look like they will be playing teams evenly. They will take maps away from teams. They will look great. And then at the end of it, they pull up an L, and it's very difficult to give a team any credit at all when the consistent result is a final loss at the end of the series, because they're clearly not putting it together for an entire game, and you just can't praise that. For fans of Team Liquid, this would be great if they won, but we're just map 1 out of potentially 5, so withholding judgment until we see what happens as we go forward.
Well, and we do have map 2. It's going to be Hanamura. We haven't seen this since I think maybe since week 1. We've maybe seen it once or twice since then. But anybody excited to see this map we haven't seen in a while?
I am. Cherry Blossom's pretty. Like I say, we haven't seen it very often. I also like that it's Complexity's pick. Complexity also always takes attack. Across every map, across the board for the last year, they always take attack. And they've always been good at set plays on attack. And now that these tanks have been on the team for a couple days, maybe they have something up their sleeve.
It is nice to see Hanamura again, of course. The real backstory, don't go into anything like teams preferring Temple Anubis, but the real backstory here is that they had to hire new security. Unfortunately, they have a problem with security guards having low lifespans here in Hanamura, but they've gotten that fixed up. So finally, we can visit historic Hanamura once more. But
I mean, they're not losing those security guys. That was some
Well, most of
putty
them were only
level.
knocked out anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know if
aside from
anybody
the
got
Omnic who was
killed.
murdered in cold blood.
Oh yeah, the Omnics. You can kill Omnics and still maintain a
Like
Whoa,
somehow
rating,
that
yeah.
keeps Hanzo as good guy status. I don't know. Or
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not actually sure about the character direction of Hanzo. On one hand, he is someone who is feeling remorseful for things, and then you hear his interaction with Genji in game, and he's actually being a total jerk. So
He's very complicated, okay? And that's the beautiful storytelling that Blizzard is bringing us. No, but going back to that's the last match, we looked at Torque, and obviously playing some various things, but I liked him on Hog. We saw him with some good hooks there. How do we feel about him on that versus somebody like a 76 or a McCree?
I think Torque can play, again, he can play so many different heroes. I think his Hog is fine. That's what gives them the versatility to switch off of things, but they do have to, you didn't have to switch off of it if you would just play better on 76. So it would be the question, because I think like the double hit scan was working out very well for them. The one thing that's very difficult with Complexity is there are times when I watch them play that I don't feel they understand what's working well for them and what they're playing towards it, because Nicholas was crushing that back line. He was keeping them in the game, and then Torque's like, I have an idea. I'm going to crush the back line. You're already doing that. It's already happening. You're not seeing what you're doing well, and it gets frustrating to watch.
perhaps the logic there is so on the lines of, it's better than one person crushing the back line, 2 people crushing the back line.
Yeah, and then
clearly did not work out. But I mean, Complexity in general, even with the excuse where you think about how they used to have excellent Sombra play, even you go with the idea that, well, it requires more team coordination. We've swapped up our rosters. We just don't want to use it now. It's just sort of like, but for the most part, it wasn't failing in real matches. So you're still, I mean, if they had used it a bunch of real matches and it was just getting stuffed every time and looked like it had run its course, I'd be fine. Be like, well, eventually teams adapted. But we never even hit that phase. We're just like, eh.
Well, if there's anything you and I have learned from hanging out in various discords, is that scrims are gospel. So if it didn't work in scrims, then apparently they don't want to run it anymore.
What I've learned from scrim results in the scene is that every team will tell you that they're unstoppable gods that are in the top of everything, and they also beat everyone in scrims.
I've never met a team who's lost a scrim.
I know everyone's. Whenever I'm messaging teams, it's like we're winning in scrims. We're winning all of our scrims. We're beating the best teams in scrims. And I'm like, everyone apparently is winning in scrims. I think they're all just forfeiting and chalking it up to a win. Well,
trading.
you know what? This is not a scrim. This is real life, everybody. Team Liquid is up 1-0 in this series versus compLexity, playing for a potential. The potential to get into the playoffs, while compLexity is trying to play at getting one step closer to that second place slot. Take it away, gents, here on Hanamura.
Well, we are, of course, looking at historic Hanamura, now open for business once more. I do think the security guards might have already fled the coop, though, Hex, so enjoy it while it lasts.
Like I said, those security guards needed to be replaced. That was foot soldier level security, putty level, name your faceless villain in a cartoon. Stormtrooper, fair enough. Yeah, it was just bad security, so maybe they can upgrade their security measures. It does seem like on the defense, Shatter will be in the 76th spot. Careful of errant rockets coming up here. ID will join him eventually to keep him very safe, but this is a very squad-based map on defense. You generally see twos.
Well, he's lucky in this case. Nicholas is not in the Pharah, so we might not have another very embarrassing moment in getting back up there, but compLexity, they're going to be deep diving into this, although not with the Winston, so it's more flanker-powered than all in on the dive, but they do get through the gate relatively uncontested. Perhaps a bit of a mistake here by Liquid. They're trying to deal with the flankers on the backside. They already lose to Hang, so this has already devolved very rapidly for Team Liquid, and they're already on the back foot.
It was very cool play by Nesh to go in there, get the distraction going, and then dash out with his life, allowed his team to get in this position, and they're backed into a corner. That hook, however, takes out Nicholas. Mezzer gives his life for it. Trades coming in, but Nesh with the dash resets takes down 2 tanks. Now Torque running wild. This should be compLexity's
This is double trouble. Not only have you lost the point to begin with, but you've also fed a hungry Genji who's going to have his blade out for seconds when they go into point B. This is the perfect recipe for a very swift point A, point B take. Nesh could be the hero of the hour.
I think they had to recall that board game, Hungry Genjis. Too many shurikens, too many kids with cut up hands. But Nesh gonna use that Dragon Blade to push this point. I think they should go in right now. Just go with it.
They have the blade up, and I think that's what they're doing. They're just going straight up the gut here. And Nesh, this is going to be his show to win or lose. Goes up to the top, gets moved back a little bit. Now holding on to his blade.
I don't like this at all. Go.
He's holding on. 5 versus 5 here. Nesh. Okay, there it comes. Late Dragon Blade, but better late than never. Gets 1. Looking for more. Gets onto the point here and gonna waste a lot of it. Did not have the targets really pre-planned out there, but while it's going on, it's Torque with the late tag visor. Picks up 3 in over the top. Torque TJO has you in his sights, and now Liquid going from bad to worse here. Now in the situation where they got to run on delay, but they're getting all the respawns out relatively quickly here. We'll see if they can bring it back. Oh no, Mezar ulting shields, Meza ulting shields. Neither Reinhardt to be outdone, I suppose, as they both do nothing. But here comes Transcendence here from compLexity. Moving a bit off the point because of that. And actually Shadow with the attack visor, now potentially starting to bring this back.
They're getting kills. Here comes the sound barrier. That should spell the end of it. 1 tick has come across the board. Tick and a half, if you will, but that half will, of course, revert. Torque is looking for the sweet release of death, finds it at the merciful hands of Mezzer's hammer, although I can think of better ways to go. Team Liquid will solidify on their defensive point here. It seems like if they want to make changes, now would be the time. Sometimes you run things you don't necessarily want to run just in the sake of stall out. I think they could have aggressed a little quicker on that point, but I don't think it's what lost him there. Nesh, maybe spending a little too much time on Lucio, but it was minimal.
The Reinhardt mating dance, where you can make a gif of them both just failing Earth Shatters one after another, probably didn't help either team there, but certainly hurt compLexity's chances of a clean wipe. Either way, 5 versus 5 into this next fight. Nesh already almost has another Dragon Blade up. Says a lot about his contribution here without. Eats the Bionade, has to back out. Not gonna get any heals for a while, but compLexity controlling this pretty well. They've only lost 1 here so far and starting to take control, but Shatter finds Torque towards the end. Not by being enough, and I don't know about that. What? Why?
What happened?
Nesh used Dragon Blade at the end when they were already down players, and he was one of the last
This is the time where you switch off Genji to save face.
Yeah,
there it is.
that's where
It goes on to D.Va instead. There it is. Yeah, maybe he was switching anyway, but whatever. Nicholas will have Pulse Bomb incoming. Torque will have Soldier 76 a long ways away. Meza looking for redemption on his Earth Shatter, and Nesh on the critical D.Va switch will come in onto that D.Va, but maybe it's an answer to Shatter. Also, Dahang has been nuking people with Bionades.
It's very likely that they're planning that either way. I'm not sure about the wisdom of not trying to get max value off his Dragon Blade. It is Dragon Blade, but here comes AZK moving in. Pulse Bomb sticks, connects, and just blows up the chances of compLexity even considering the possibility of taking this point.
It's very difficult to do the upper right push against a defensive Tracer for that reason precisely. You can't track her ultimate the way you can track other people's ultimates. You just have to assume, has Tracer been alive for more than 5 seconds? Pulse Bomb's probably up. And going in that corridor, it is very easy. That's why you run a D.Va, actually, is to prevent getting grabbed there, to prevent getting Pulse Bomb there. Very aggressive defense.
This is scary. I get that they might be looking for a flanking Earth Shatter so they catch them off guard, but they're not nearly far enough up to where they can actually recover effectively if this fails. But Shatter, moving in on the flanking Tac Visor, picks up one, gets slept. Wow. All right, the long charge coming in from Meza, the deal of Shatter there, and I gotta say, it's probably going to work out in terms of stall, but I don't think that's a risk Team Liquid needs to take because the upside isn't there like most aggressive defenses. If they had lost that decisively, they'd probably lose point B.
It is a long walk back to B, and the stall out on Hanamura is legendary. They are going to try right-hand push this time. Meza's got Earth Shatter, looking for a better one than last time. They're going to get aggressed upon, though. Meza goes in. No Earth Shatter so far. Nicholas takes down Mazur on the other side. Earth Shatter comes in, only gets Dahang, but Dahang swept up. Here comes the Nano onto Meza.
The Nano comes in, and compLexity now with a much better look. Self-destruct, though, coming in over the top. Not going to get anything, though, unfortunately. It was perhaps a little bit too high up for that to do anything, as Meza again pick up the D.Va kill towards the very end. AZK, though, up and alive. But now a counter self-destruct coming up. Is it going to get AZK? No. Neither self-destruct doing much, and AZK still darting around, actually starting to bring this back for Liquid, or was. Ends up falling, so now it's going to be up to other members of Liquid to find a way to stall this out. They are coming back in. They have the D.Va on the point. 2 ticks to compLexity. Not a lot of margin for error here as we enter the stalling out phase of the game. And AZK going to the top, pressuring onto the Ana, and Shake able to fight him off. So you still see that going in over the top and gets slept. AZK slept over the top. But what's going on, Liquid is able to clean up on the point, perhaps in part because Shake was distracted.
What's actually brutal about this is that Nicholas used his tactical visor towards the end, got nothing from it. However, silver lining, I'm Mr. Brightside here, second tick off the point. One more tick and they will complete this attack, 90 seconds to do so. Fight took very long. Some nice tank redemption there from Meza, who did hit one of his Earth Shatters. Speaking of Meza's and Earth Shatters, Mazur is going to have his Earth Shatter on the defense. Shatter, don't get too cute. Don't want to play up around there. He needs to be up with his team, but...
Well, he knocks down 2, and now Shadow's coming back around. He's like, I'll follow up at some point, guys, I swear. But the time might
I don't like that position at all. Just go back. You just try to find your way to the high ground. They're going to lose Shatter right away. Rafa will equalize it, so not the fight losing death, but could have been a mistake. A mistake you can avoid.
Also, Mr. Brightside, like naming yourself Brightside in general, this feels like the name of a Care Bear.
It's a song. Are you that out of touch?
I am apparently very out of touch.
Oh, it wasn't an anime. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. Like, and listen, we both have our areas of expertise. I am fully in the Vohayo army, so come at me.
Mr. Brightside is a very popular song. Anyway, up top here, they are going to be holding top left, but they do want to push right dead center now. Going to take position on the point as this offense. Last push need only 1 tick.
All right, and Nicholas here, Sound Bear on the point, compLexity throwing their all into this. This will be very likely their last attempt in. Shatter going to taste terra firma as Meza drops on the ground with the Earth Shatter. AZK annoyingly still alive perhaps with Mezar, but even for AZK, this...
there it is.
Nope, not gonna be enough.
Hammer battle in the corner, ends up shaking its way out for Meza, not to be confused with Mezur. That's been fun. compLexity will finish out Hanamura. Not a whole lot of time left in their bank, but speaking of Hanamura, hard map just to complete. It is one of the hardest last pushes to take. Defense, it's such a wide open room that offensively, you almost have to win 2 fights. One to get in, one to get on, one to stay on. A lot of fights have to go your way to be able to close out Hanamura.
It takes a lot, and the other thing, too, is that from a defensive end, it only takes one very pesky tracer to ruin your day and set the defense on the path to evicting you from the point, even when you think all is going well.
Well, it was complexity's pick, and they clearly had a plan, especially first point offense went very well for them. First point offense was pretty much, Nesh, get in there, make them all look at you. Meanwhile, us 5 are going to sneak around top, and then don't die and we'll win. Defensively, it looks like they want to run a builder. This is something that Complexity has done before. Joe Meister has experience flexing onto builders, whether it be Symmetra or, in this case, our Swedish friend Torbjorn.
Torbjorn, not building IKEA, building turrets.
Well,
machines of death.
Yes, they do not fall apart at the first sight of wind, which is how we know he's unassociated with IKEA. Of course, if IKEA wants to be a future sponsor, I love you and your furniture's great. Cover all my bases there. Team Liquid on the attack. Looks like they want to put ID on this Widow, first of all. This is something we've seen LG Evil run, train on the Widow offensively for Hanamura. See what ID can get done.
And taking a look here, a little bit more in depth at the defense here, it's really going to come down to how distracted does Team Liquid get by this Torbjorn here. If they kill the turret quickly, go in and get kills, it's actually going to be hard for Joe Meister to have an impact. If they dawdle or they allocate too much to it, it could really be their downfall. So that's always what you have to look at here. You have Torb on defense.
Beautiful set nade. That's beautiful.
A little extra 11% in Shig's tank. Why not?
Yeah, you know, I mean, it does end up hoping the support's on the other side, but it's a trade you'll take. Just a cool set nade spot. ID already getting pressured out by a fire strike, has to back out a little bit, get some venom mine damage. He's peeking around looking to see if there's a Torb up top there that he can maybe peek on. Generally, Torbs have set up on top of that bridge over there, so that's what he's looking for. Sees that it's not there, gonna take every shot available to him. Starting with a D.Va, so far nothing, getting pressured very hard.
ID really not able to find sightlines, but he's also drawing the D.Va to him, which means D.Va isn't helping out on the point, as Team Liquid actually very easily able to get on that point. They get the tick for free, as Nash trying to pull this back here, does pick up 2, but complexity. Their defense is going to hold firm here, but I do think they would like to take that back a little bit.
Well, that's a beautiful helix on the ID. Soldier 76 shouldn't necessarily win that fight at these levels anyway, as Widow unable to sashay her way left or right and avoid that helix rocket. So that is a great pick off there. His turret's still very much alive. Meza goes down on the entrance though. There goes Joe Meister too. Winston will eventually kill that turret. Yes, he will. Takes his sweet time with it.
He does get that, and now Team Liquid in a great position to get on this point and secure it. ID, of course, swapping off Widow into Zarya. Got hit by the Helix rocket so hard it made him change classes, but for now, it's worked out as AZK is just picking this apart in the back. Mezar with the support, even gets nano boosted here for good measure. Don't actually think they needed the nano boost with how solidly they were winning this. In fact, that could cost them lot hex in terms of momentum into the next point.
It could. However, Mezar will have his primal rage in part because of the damage he was getting done with that cleave from the nano boost. So a small trade-off there. Mezar's Winston's really come alive in the last couple weeks. He used to be middling to questionable at times. His Winston now is straight up good in my book. They're gonna have to have an answer to this turret up top right. You can peek it perhaps with a Genji, with a Tracer, which is why the D.Va is keeping them off of that corner.
Shatter holding on to that Dragon Blade. Not going to nano go with it, but will go when as soon as he feels the time is right. The turret is down, and now this is going to be a very good opportunity. Mezar is then, you got to think the Blade is soon the follow. Blade coming out, going in. Torque in rough shape, just taking down 2 slices. But the self-destruct zones out the rest of the Dragon Blade. Still, though, big opportunity here for Team Liquid. Only down to Hang, which admittedly hurts their healing, but they still have a big presence here on this point. Losing AZK, though, could very well hurt. Still 4 people on the point, but respawn techs are coming in shortly.
Mezar is just a monster. He has been demolishing everyone on this team. They had to force out Molten Core early without a turret up. Yes, it boosts the Torb itself, but not enough. You'd rather have a turret there. They are going to come in. They have denied the second tick so far. Graviton will come in. Cleave damage going down very hard. Mezar will fall eventually along with Rafa. That is a couple kills complexity needed to bring this back. Shatter trying to go wild.
Shatter is going wild. Does pick up 2 at the dash resets, but unfortunately, the rest of his team slowly falling under the pressure here. And able to find Torque. Dash resets coming in. AZK now rejoining the fight to hang back in. And I don't know if this is something they really want to stay in too long. And no, they've had enough. They're backing out.
Yeah.
I think they realized that they might have been able to stay on the point for a while there, but it just starts getting to the territory of trap fight where you're fighting, but for no reason.
You're fighting and the clock's just burning in the background. You're never going to have the critical mass needed to pull it over. So Shatter will hold on to that blade, very likely going to be a nano blade. You'd have to imagine AZK will be the initiation here, looking for an early bomb. Ends up getting bullied out by the turret. They've stuck on this Torb for very long.
Shatter again goes off, picks off both the Ana and the Torb in the back. 2 kills here for Shatter to hang with the support. It's 3-0 here for Team Liquid, on the verge of taking the second map and being up 2-0 in the series. compLexity does not appear to have an answer here. No kills here just yet, and the sound barrier very likely gonna seal the deal, and it does. Team Liquid 2-0 over compLexity. And I gotta say, going into this, I did expect it to be a bit closer than it is. Not that compLexity hasn't had moments like the beginning of King's Row, but they have not. What am I doing here? I think I have jumped the gun because
well, it's all good.
It's not quite there yet.
We don't go to Hanamura very often, so it is.
It's one of those things where I had it in my head that compLexity did not complete, and I am just being all sorts of silly. So, chat, please flay me viciously. I deserve a beating.
I agree. I support
Kinda
that
like
message. My name is Hexgrams. I support that message.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens. Hey, we still have another set here tonight. Let's caffeine up. Actually, it's probably the bad thing. Let's get clear brains, clear heads, clear hearts. As we move forward, Liquid will be on the defense this time around, but a substantial time bank difference, 4 minutes and 42 seconds on their side of things, where compLexity barely pulled it off in overtime, so only a minute on their next attack.
The thing is for Team Liquid here is that Team Liquid has so much time to work with where they're almost going to be guaranteed to take first point, but a minute is not necessarily a guarantee of taking it on your first attack. So
2 pushes at best.
compLexity, to say that there's a lot riding on them getting this first point here would be the understatement of the world.
Liquid already up 1-0 in the series. Shatter has that jump down. Take notes, Jake. As they will both put him up on the top side. No D.Va to support him, though. They're going very DPS heavy in this defense. They're running a pharmacy combo. See if it works out for him. They're knowing that Torque wants to go up here. They don't see him, though. Misses the Helix early on, unable to punish that Tracer for being out of position.
Not able to get the immediate punch here. ID in the back line right now is able to pierce through relatively quickly. AZK, though, getting in on the shake immediately here, so...
Oh, what was that?
Yikes, that...
Deflect must have been on cooldown.
The defensive...
Nesh must have been disconnected. Something happened there. He ate a rocket to the face. He did not have to. That is 2 very quick kills here for Liquid's defense, and this is rough for compLexity.
Well, ID just in the back playing artillery Pharah, and why not? Works out.
Oh,
Grabs Mezzo towards the very end, and now are they even going to be able to get on? They are going to be able to get on it with the D.Va towards the very end, but now they're bleeding out players, and Torque on his old love Sombra, but this could be impossible to hack even for her, as he's actually going to be one of the last people remaining up and in the fight. Has to touch the point to keep it in the overtime, but overtime now quickly fading away, and that's going to be the round. compLexity not able to get it done there, and
I don't think you weren't the only one who thought the map was over. Apparently compLexity checking out for that attack as well. What was that?
Well, that was ID coming in one of his better fair performances that we've seen, although part of it is compLexity just willingly walking into rockets the entire time through.
Did not look good for compLexity. Liquid now very easy win condition to go up 2-0 in this series. Liquid 2-0 in this series, a sentence I did not expect to be saying this evening. Oh, Liquid, don't put more scar tissue on my broken heart. Liquid only needs to take first point here, and they will go up 2-0. It's what I was trying to get around to. A very DPS-oriented defense, but I like it there in that case because you only really need to kill 6 people to win that first point. You know, half on the first push, half on the second. compLexity looked all out of sorts and did not die when they should have. As soon as the first death came down, they should have all found sweet release. There's cliffs they could have jumped off of there too, so... Odd push for compLexity to say the least, but it sets Liquid up in a great place. 4:42 to take first. Liquid has looked solid. Luckily, they have not looked liquid, but 4:42, they have a chance to throw it away.
You've just thrown in so many liquidisms. It's like, are you casting a magic spell here, the Cursed Liquid? Like, what is this? That was triple layered.
What, Magic? Isn't that the game that ripped off Hearthstone? Moving on, here they go as they enter in
just
through
trying to
the
trigger
first
everything here.
point. That is a couple of
Oh
tanks.
my
They're getting
God.
very aggressive. Shields up, shield war. They let them in for free here, ZP. There's a game of Overwatch going on.
There is a game of Overwatch going on, and there's one coming in from Torque, but the shield well, not quite saving Shatter. It was an attempt, but he does not live in the very end.
Shatter goes down, but that's not quite it for the push. Liquid used to be a team that as soon as one person went down, that was it. They called off the fight. Now they're going to kind of rally their forces here. They're probably going to try to push 5 in and let Shatter get through the door on cleanup crew if he wants. It's going to be hard for him to join up on this push up top, so they're just going to rotate all the way over to the top. They lost Shatter again.
I was going to say, shit, that's not like the old kill feed. That is Shatter dying again, getting devoured by Roadhog once more. But the rest of Team Liquid now taking the time to go in. They don't want to waste this chance, and they take down 3. So how important is Shatter to this offense anyways is the question Team Liquid must be asking, as Shatter is going to run back in here towards the end. And now compLexity on the verge of losing Hanamura for real this time. There's no way that this can be wrong.
Shatter helped. He's helping. He got a Helix rocket
He was the
out of
decoy.
Lucio.
He was the bait.
Yeah, once he finally got out there, he did get a kill.
He was the
Lucio.
embodiment of Jebaited, but Team Liquid, no even stall coming in for compLexity. Now I can fully officially say that Team Liquid takes it away from compLexity 2-0 in the series.
2-2.
It's pretty impressive stuff from Liquid. They've looked very good. I have to give props to Mezer, whose Winston, like I've mentioned, has come alive. Shatter, despite what we saw there, was absolutely crucial in their attacks earlier. His Genji has played a great role. He's been a good addition to this team.
The other thing, too, is that it's also been a much better series so far for ID. I think people are taking a ride off the ledge.
Well, possibly. What is this?
There it is.
All right.
There it is.
All right, well, I was just saying that I was actually just hoping that the play of the game algorithm would have bugged out there, and it just would have been Rafa just sitting there breakdancing. It's like play of the game.
That would have been. It's actually pretty close to my favorite play of the game so far. Anyway, just like. What's
I'm the
going on?
worst.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Nothing is ever going to beat the play of the game when Overwatch came out, where it was a Torbjorn that was dead.
Yep. Yeah.
And then his body just slowly falls off the edge. That one might actually be the greatest of all time, and it happened pretty early.
But the contagious laughter in that video is what sells it. The guy at the end, he's got the great laugh.
Yeah, no, we actually talked about that week 1 because there was a Tor play of the game. It was more of a real play of the game if I had to define real and unreal plays of the game. But despite incantations to the contrary, Liquid is up 2-0 in this series, and they're poised to potentially come out of this 3-0 against compLexity. Definitely not what we expected. What has been their recipe for success, or maybe the recipe for compLexity's downfall?
Well, going into it, again, it's a tale of two teams here, where to have this big of a shift where compLexity has been pretty firmly middle of the pack despite their roster switch-ups, and Team Liquid has been struggling. It has been an above-average game for Team Liquid, where, as mentioned a little bit mid-cast, I think ID has been playing far better. You need only look at his defense there, where his Pharah really had a much better showing. And, well, let's clarify. Overall, it's been much better. You still can't wipe away the stain of the Graviton back on King's Row, but he's definitely been working on it. Meanwhile, from compLexity, it's just been lower than expected contribution. And also, if we flip back to Liquid for a second, AZK, we've been talking about him improving our time. He's had a monstrous day today, period, full stop. Up there with the very best tracers in the game.
Absolutely agree. Yeah, he's cleaning up a lot. I've mentioned Mezer a lot of times, and it's because I've taken him to task on is his Winston any good before. And I think we've seen across scenes in North America and Korea, to be a great tank, your Reinhardt has to be on point. 100%, your Ryan has to be there because he's such a solid pick. But there's some tanks on different teams across places that only run a good Winston. You can't have that. Mezer now has elevated himself to top-tier tank on Ryan and Winston. That becomes very frightening.
Yeah, no, I would say that he might have been the biggest standout player from Hanamura. I mean, especially on attack. I mean, they were giving him the nano, and which, of course, I mean, he was just cleaving through people left and right. But it really did enable the rest of his team, AZK included, to clean up some of those kills. But they definitely they all of them performed really well in this one.
I would say, actually, when you take a look at Mezar in particular, you think about what Tracer's looking at, someone getting weakened down by even 20 to 30 health is a big big difference in how aggressively a Tracer can go in, because now your clip, instead of it being perfect to one-clip someone, now it doesn't have to be perfect. Now you can take it from slightly longer range, lay it in, and still pick up the kill because of the damage that Mezar has done into the back.
And in the era of Genji Watch, which we are firmly in right now, most teams running a Genji, especially in Korea, your Winston has to be the deterrent. There's no one else who can stop it. So you have to know when those cooldowns are happening, how to manage your cooldowns, and just to put some pressure on a Genji. The scariest thing is a Genji not pressured who's just going to dash through your team, dash away, dash back in. It gets brutal. But the Winston play we've seen has shut down a lot of Genjis recently.
Yeah, and Genji has been important, and we're seeing that this game evolve in front of us. Nepal is going to be the next map and potentially the last map of this series. And once again, this one was selected by compLexity, and we've seen a lot of results from Team Liquid in history, in more distant history, and more recent history on Nepal. But what are we expecting out of Team Liquid coming here?
I think ID is feeling it tonight. Run fair until they stop it.
Yep, and remember, that is the age-old compLexity kryptonite as well, where, I mean, right now it's more in vogue to look at LG Evil and go, hey, can you guys stop a Pharah? Well, compLexity, they were the originators of, we can't stop a Pharah, please just destroy us from the skies. Now, I do think we might actually be seeing Pharah versus Pharah as we go into this,
very
because
possible.
Nicholas has been running a lot more Pharah in recent times.
Yeah, and then in which case the question will be, where is the focus going to be? Because we've seen a couple different flavors of Pharah. We've seen the combo, of course. We've seen, the triple threat Velociraptor strategy. We've seen in the Pharah v Pharah, we've seen, one Pharah is trying to kill the Mercy, trying to kill the Pharah, actually just focusing on the ground. And so it'd be curious to see how these teams adapt, and especially in this case, compLexity, because they've got to pull it back here if they are going to pull out a victory against Team Liquid and dash all of their hopes for the playoffs. But if it's up to Liquid, Liquid wants to keep giving us that hope as we're coming into Nepal. Take it away, gentlemen.
Well, we are here on snowy Nepal, and what we were expecting to be a series that could go to 5 now has the possibility of ending here in 3. Or actually, if it was going in 3, we thought it would go the other way to compLexity. So Team Liquid perhaps surprising us here on what could be the revenge spoiler tour.
Well, that's the best part about sports, traditional or electronic, is you can't predict it. You can't script it. People would not believe you if you wrote some of these things. The surprise is my favorite part of it. It does not seem like compLexity will be surprised, though, as they expect the Pharah combo, and Torque is going to run the McCree right off the bat. That is a micro battle to be watching. Also, while the Sky battle takes place, see what AZK can do on the bottom. I mean, running a McCree here counters a lot of the things Liquid wants to run.
It certainly does, but the question is Torque going to be well protected enough here, where you have to imagine that AZK, who has been playing phenomenally well here so far, is going to make getting on Torque a priority with ID. Certainly, though, it's going to require both ID and AZK to perform at a high level, and of course, Shatter is the triple threat that is in and around as well.
He is eating a lot of free rockets, putting a lot of pressure on his Ana to keep him alive. Nick was in AZK sites, but he has to back out there. He does have eyes set on Torque. A beautiful barrier comes down and going to give him all the area he needs. Meanwhile, while they're being bullied back, they clean up Nash as Mezar comes in out of nowhere, taking him down, and it's given Liquid the free cap of this point.
They get the 2 kills that they need early on, and Liquid, no signs of slowing down here. Torque's answer to ID, not necessarily there early on, and just Liquid outplaying compLexity on multiple different levels here, really across their entire team, and might be going pretty rough here for compLexity.
ID is the ultimate Pharah player. It just extends to his entire play style of some nights you have it, some nights you don't. And as Pharah, you usually know that pretty early on. If you're going to hit rockets, you just have it. It's this intrinsic thing. I think tonight ID's feeling his Pharah. He's almost got barrage already.
Meanwhile, Torque looking here. Oh no, that is not the way to get off Pharah. Definitely not through the bouncer known as Winston. He's strict, man.
Strict but fair.
Strict, fair, doesn't let anything go through him. Actually, a lovable gorilla at heart.
Oh, like most bouncers. They are going to be pushing it in right there. There's some damage-boosted rockets around the corner. They've barely been able to get past this archway, ZP.
They haven't been able to get through the archway, which means that Torque can't even dream about getting on the ID. He's just dreaming about walking through a door right now, which is a considerably less ambitious dream, but perhaps something he needs to sell for. And has he found the right door? We'll find out in a moment. Meanwhile, though, Shatter has Dragon Blade ready for this next fight.
Oh! Why? Deadeye.
Side number one, you know it's not your night. You click on a Genji that you don't realize is deflecting, and
It was already a questionable Deadeye just based on where he was positioned, but that was very odd. They will try to take to the sky to neutralize this combination as Shake and Nicholas switch off to their own pharmacy. Nicholas takes down the Hang. Shake falls afterwards. That is 2 quick kills onto the Mercies, and this has finally opened the door for complexity.
while Torque initially eating Shadow's Blade once more, and complexity still a better positioning here on this point, but ID still up and around. ID versus Nicholas, who has swapped to the Pharah. Nicholas going to take that battle, but hey, let's talk about life goals for a second here for Torque. On the list, walk through doors. Don't kill yourself with Deadeye. I mean, we're creating a list right now.
I don't understand. He was coming for the Deadeye that was essentially a zoning Deadeye because he was in no position to see anyone. It was only to zone out the Genji and then to actually click through. Questionable, to say the least. Right now, though, complexity has flipped the point back over 99% for Liquid, so they just have to win one more fight. Already pressuring the point. Tac Visor will come out from Nash.
Well, the Tac Visor, though, going to get completely stuffed here by the Sound Barrier, but the rest of the fight certainly going well, but the res comes in.
Nice
so
res.
Team Liquid still able to go in it. What is this barrage going to do? It takes down one. Nicholas or Shatter going to go to the other. 3 kills here for Team Liquid, make it 4. The Resurrection coming in from Dahang very well could have turned the tide of this fight. AZK with the aid of Mezar, gonna get that last bit of cleanup. And round number 1 going the way of Team Liquid.
And notably, Shake died holding his own resurrection. That is the value of Mercy resurrections in fights. It was all we saw in Overwatch for a 2-month period. Mercy resurrections flipping fights around. She's gotten changes to her kit over time to make her a little more balanced in those regards, but that is the first map of Nepal going over to Team Liquid, who leads this series 2-0 over complexity, and a mild stunner.
You know what we don't see much anymore, even though teams are running things like Mercy and Lucio together? We never see Resurrection, the Sound Barrier, to the degree that we used to, because teams swapped up. They use Sound Barrier for initiation now. Back in the day, it'd be, we're just going to Res first, Sound Barrier later.
Right.
And it's actually pretty annoying because it made it very difficult to take advantage of the bad positioning a Resurrection will give you.
Reviving strong zombies. I think it's because Res is not necessarily the focal point. It's a bonus now if you happen to be running a combo. You're not building compositions around it like you used to. Torque is going to get in here, fans the hammer early on. Still a bloodless fight thus far as they Braveheart at each other over stairs. Mez D-Mex the Diva.
Torque got through a door. It's already a good run.
Humble beginnings. Well, a beautiful flashbang does stun too, but no cleanup there. Torque ends up getting himself killed in that exchange. Meza goes down. Liquid with the strong advantage in this early fight.
It was back and forth for a while, but Liquid wins the poke war and then snowballs the rest of the fight back in their favor, which means they're going to get first capture here. And Door Challenge 2017 might continue here for Torque.
It sounds like a very terrible local news program. Door Watch 2017. Can he get through?
Or an indie game that just gets savaged with bad reviews and stock Unity assets. Yeah, take your pick.
Well, they do try to get through the door, met with a very angry Winston as he's cleaving all sorts of damage in there. They've yet to come out. AZK hitting clip after clip of headshot. What a beautiful sound that is. They're going to start throwing ultimates in there. Rafa dies early.
Rafa goes down pretty early. And, oh, the pulse bomb comes in. No! Will not connect. It's going to be Meza keeping his team protected from that. Shatter going down and complexity. They're going to get through, and Team Liquid's attempt to just block them out here probably not going to be successful. Deadeye coming in here from Torque. Very much not wanting to hit Genji, and no, instead going to be hitting Meza. Does connect with that Deadeye. Meza was all complexity now. It's taken them a while, but they should be able to get on this point and get their first capture. But Liquid doing a pretty good job of delaying this out and getting every last tick of percentage that they can.
They will sacrifice lives here for percentage, but not able to get back on the point as AZK as he gets flashbang out of there. Now it's a little too late. Now you have to question what they're fighting for. Just looking for the reset now as that point has flipped back over. Rafa takes down Torque, added to his Lucio belt, I suppose. Rafa will have Sound Barrier in this next fight.
Zero couldn't have said an A better, X. And this is a dead silence.
I don't want Zero. I do not understand Zero. Zero cool, like the movie Hackers? I'm in that.
No, it's a face. I'll explain later, but you have Meza coming in here, holding on to the Earth Shatter, looking for his opportunity. Dropping the Earth Shatter, gonna be knocking down 3. It's a nice Earth Shatter here from compLexity, and that's one way that's gonna help them hold on to this point for at least a little bit longer.
Had to burn a couple there, but the Soundbarrier did come out from Rafa, so a decent exchange there of ultimates using the self-destruct and the Earth Shatter together. Shake will have Nano Boost on the next fight. That is about it for compLexity. Nano Boost also on the other side, but they have a Dragon Blade to pair it with. Of course, a great way to stop a Dragon Blade is a flashbang if you can just time it right. Torque should be holding on to that for the incoming ultimates that he has to guess will be around the corner here. They have now taken the lead in this map. Here comes the Nano Blade.
Shatter moving in, might have overshot the target a little bit, but no, takes off Torque's head early on the 8 of AZK. That's gonna be it for the Nano Blade, so not as much as you're expecting, but the rest of Team Liquid making the most of the distraction, cleaning up the scraps as AZK and Mezar again getting the work. Mezar weakening them, AZK knocking them down, getting the Pulse Bomb to help finish things out here, and Team Liquid, this is looking like it's going to be a retake, but what they have to do here, because if they lost this, it might just be over in this round. So compLexity having a better go of things here so far.
Absolutely looks stronger on this stage than the previous one. Of course, after this, we will go to Sanctum. If you're holding out hopes for Junkrat, do not. Mangachu's not in this game. He's the only person that's running. He's the only one who's making your Trash Mouse dreams come true. ID will have Tactical Visor. He's in great position to use it. Electric Cowboy might be incoming. You're going to see a battle for high ground. Mez trying to disrupt some plans.
Mezar denying doorways all night long. Here comes Torque, he gets through. Electric Cowboy is out, and no, he doesn't get it. That was super close. I'm almost surprised they didn't get that there. But now, with Mezar taking down one early on, compLexity gonna have to find a way to bring it back, and no, they're not gonna do it. AZK catches Torque out mid-Peacemaker shot. Team Liquid 6v4 now as they look to finish up the rest here on the point. And with Mezar and AZK roaming, they're going to do just that. 93%. And now, compLexity on the hot seat. Now they have to try and stall this out and look for the miracle, but Reinhardt go boom.
Oh, beautiful patience there. It goes past the Diva. It gets onto Meza. Shake and Nesh follow in short order. Desperation time for compLexity. Only 3 alive. Going to have some hero plays from either side. It's not going to be Nicholas coming in. As he goes down, so does Torque. Liquid looks to take a 2-0 map lead and series lead. Already in the bank is them for 2-0. They're on the verge of sweeping out compLexity.
So long as Team Liquid wins one of the next 3 rounds, which would include potentially 2 rounds that they've already played on, it could be 2 Sanctums, and maybe they lose Sanctum and that's that, but they'll at least get a chance to win 1 round on a map round they've already won. So long as they're able to do that, they will take the map, they'll take the series.
I don't know why I sense something sinister in your voice. Perhaps you're disbelieving even your own
I'm not trying to do what you were
stats.
trying to do intentionally earlier. I'm not trying to jinx stuff.
I'm not trying to jinx Liquid. No one wants Liquid to be able to break through their own self-imposed limitations more than I.
I mean, so let's set the stakes here. If Team Liquid were to lose here and end up losing the series.
Let's enjoy.
I'm doing this.
Let's enjoy Sanctum.
I'm doing this. I don't care. Team Liquid to lose the series now, they would need to be reverse swept here on the Paul, and then be reverse swept in the series.
Well, that's just nonsense talk. That's not gonna happen.
That would be new standards even for Liquid, so you've got to like their chances here.
Shield battle will commence. ID is shooting rockets over the top. Nicholas also on the Pharah. This is not necessarily just a response to Liquid, though. Nicholas has run the Pharah on this stage before. Nicholas and ID both trade out targets. Shake goes down. Mezar goes down on the other side. Now it is Liquid's favor as they've taken down the opposing Reinhardt as well. Nicholas still looking for boobs, trying to get people off of the edge here. The battle's taking place in this odd area. Nicholas comes in with the cleanup.
A prophecy. I don't think it's happening just yet. There's still plenty of time left in this game. In fact, Team Liquid far better suited. They're going to get first control of this point, so compLexity not able to make the most of Nicholas's opportunity. In fact, Torque taking a wrong turn in Albuquerque there.
I have to say I'm impressed with Shatter the last couple of days. We knew his Genji's great. That's been a no-brainer all the way through. His 76 has been solid. If he can put together a solid Zarya, I will be sold on him on this roster for sure. He's already getting up there 80% charge. They're getting very aggressive. This is what Liquid's been missing so many of the times when they throw games. Aggression, killer instinct, step on the throat.
I can't agree more, although the way you said they throw games, you just sound so definitive, like, yeah, but we know Liquid.
Oh, yeah, I'm wrong.
You're not wrong!
Well, now they are being aggressive up front. Shatter at 82%. They're going to boost into the Reinhardt right away, getting very aggressive here, 100% on the beam for Shatter as he tries to get more damage done a zoning Nano Rhine, apparently, as they got no kills off of it, but did push them back. Now they have a Graviton. Now perhaps complexity baited into false sense. Grabs on both sides.
That's quite a Graviton, but Nicholas with quite the counter, moving at the barrage, taking down 3. Torque there at the fall through. And Team Liquid not able to finish their play. Shatter made quite a mountain of complexity players, and fortunately, they got a little bit of indigestion trying to finish that out.
Tragic. There's a beautiful Earth Shatter at the end from Mezzer, but no one alive to see it. Begs the question, if an Earth Shatter happens to a team that's fully wiped, does it even happen at all?
Probably not.
Yeah.
But 69% here for Team Liquid. Complexity retaking control, and now, really, maybe they have a buffer of 2 fights, but even if they lose this next fight, if they lose it really quickly or lose control of the point really quickly and then the fight drags out, that could be it. So complexity working with almost no margin for error here.
Whole Hog Barrage at the ready for Liquid, along with Sound Barrier, which again, you've mentioned, we've seen more initiation Sound Barriers than we are used to seeing, but it works out in control maps and more than any other. You're not necessarily on offense or defense. Here comes a Visor. Whoa, there goes the visor.
ID shatters the glasses with a well-placed rocket. Not seeing much now, are you? But the rest of Complexity still trying to make this a fight. Nicholas still a factor here. Meza going in. 3 kills here for Complexity, so who needs things in your sights anyways? Oh no. Goodbye, Shatter.
Yeah, Protective Barrier does not defy gravity. This is not Frozen. Oh, no, defying gravity was a different, whatever. I'm getting my Disney confused, which I'm sure is bothering many people.
You didn't even watch Aladdin. You're
I watched some of Aladdin.
You said it's 5 minutes. Can't even recite Prince Ali.
Unfortunately, I cannot. That is neither here nor there. 50% on it for Complexity as they continue to hold onto it. ID has Barrage ready. Mezzer takes out his counterpart.
Well, this is getting tense here. Team Liquid trying to bring this back, but Nicholas on fire in the air. A little bit outgunned here, but for Complexity, retreat is not an option. However, getting hooked to the ground clearly is AZK. Comes out the flank, got 1 TGO, brother, looking for the full set. Not going to get Nicholas here just yet, but Team Liquid, they focus on the point, they get the point, and now Complexity, they need to throw some bodies on this real quick, or they are going to find themselves thrown out of this series 3-0.
Graviton waiting the push for Complexity as they try to come in here. They've got most of them over there. Nice grab and Barrage. Triple kill for ID. He will give his life for it, though, as Torque still fighting back. AZK does have... They flipped it during that, though.
They are able to flip it, so they have 76%, and Team Liquid, they just need to finish out business here. They have the numbers advantage. They go and crack the shield. Meza hanging on for dear life, but Torque's still in this. Here comes the Tac Visor. There goes the Tac Visor. Those glasses might be defective, Hex.
Joe Meister did knock off one of the tanks on the point, doing his best as Lucio. He is taken down for it eventually. That hook will miss. AZK getting very low. It is just the Ana trying to put some pressure on. Here comes a Nano Blade.
Nano Blade on the way. Complexity fighting for dear life. Nesh grabbing AZK at the very end. And Complexity going to recap this. Team Liquid could finish this out this map so many times here, Hex. And now on the verge of losing this round and opening the door to a Complexity comeback.
It could be very close. Mez has Earth Shatter up, and he's going to use it. They are on the point, going to wait for some reinforcements. Not going to use it until he has to. They charge into each other down. He's going to drop it momentarily, you'd have to think.
Reinhardt mating dance. They butt heads. Mezar looking for the Earth Shatter. Drops the hammer, but the Sound Barrier comes out just in time. Still, though, 2 members down for Complexity. Liquid in a great position to finish this out. 3 kills to 0 here. Goodbye, the boop! Joe Meister trying to be the hero, but he has to sell for merely 1. On the point of Shake. Not going to be shaking things up, so to speak. Overtime ending, and Team Liquid, there will be no historic upset. Team Liquid finishing their plate, getting rid of Complexity with authority, and taking this series.
Never doubted it for a second.
No. Never inadvertently cursed Team Liquid there either.
Well, Zhang will come in. This was a huge resurrection, a resurrection that actually did change the tide of the fight. 4K res, for person res, rather. Just used to putting K after a number.
Yeah. Just thinking in those thousands.
A 4K res, that'd be really weird. That's what, resurrecting people only to kill them again as Mercy just cackles in the background?
But that was one of the few like that was one of the few actual like flip reses that seemed to work. Most of the reses that we've seen work, it's like, well, they got a couple kills early, or like, you know, it was a kind of a different fight. No, but you say you believe. It's really hard to trust someone who has such a questionable repertoire knowledge base around Disney movies, if you can actually believe, because Aladdin, it's like that's like the bare minimum. That's like Disney 101 right there. I don't want to like linger on that one too much, but with someone, because your repertoire of other movies is pretty outstanding. I'm gonna have to rent it for you. I think there's a Blockbuster.
I know
nearby.
Little Mermaid pretty well.
Okay.
Sebastian's my boy.
That's something.
Nothing? No, Little Mermaid doesn't count?
I mean, that's good. Yes.
Is whatever. I mean, I'm not entirely convinced that Life Under the Sea is actually better. I don't think the song made a great case.
I don't know. I mean, here's the problem: is right now I'm
Metal
having a
Drums.
hard time not bursting into song. But this is not a musical. It's definitely not a Disney movie. It is Team Liquid up 3-0 in a best of 5, and I don't think anyone guessed that this is how it was going to go down.
Not like this. I think
like this.
there was the potential for Team Liquid, as you mentioned in the beginning, but all data, whether it be you look at how both teams are playing prior to this, you look at their records prior to this, everything indicated that compLexity was going to be able to grit this one out, perhaps not unbloodied, but we did think compLexity was going to take this. Meanwhile, Team Liquid comes in, they defy those expectations, they play the triple DPS better than they have all tournament long. And compLexity, frankly, had issues all night long that just persisted. Certainly, I would say for Torque, whether it be flanking or just what he was looking for, had a bad night. And it was probably a microcosm of that was on Nepal, where, guess what? Tactical Visor, Rocket. Tactical Visor, Hook. Not a great series of moments there for Torque.
AZK played great. Yeah, give credit where credit's due. ID played great. We always said this Liquid team would be dangerous if everyone showed up at the same time. And it seems like that night finally happened, and it was enough to, dominate compLexity. You can see how good this Liquid team is. Perhaps now some people who don't understand what everyone's been talking about of this potential of this Liquid team, if everyone shows up, they just threw out compLexity, who was a rising team. And yes, compLexity didn't play as well as they had previously tonight, but you can see why expectations can get high for this Liquid team. When they have everything working as a well-oiled machine and everyone's on their game, they're hard to beat.
And I have a question about that along those lines, because we've talked about team identities. Like, what is the identity of these teams coming in? And Liquid, in their damage profile, it was a little muddy. We had ID that we had some questions about. I mean, he was playing Soldier. AZK was playing Soldier like a month ago. How much do you think bringing on someone like Shatter to diversify your damage profile with Genji, able to play outside of their pool, how much do you think that enables their other damage dealers?
Well, straight answer here is they can play Genji.
Yeah,
right. They could not play Genji before, so just having that projectile DPS option that they could never play at any adequate level, that is huge in increasing their options and what they're able to do. I would argue that if they brought in someone that was not a Genji specialist, you probably wouldn't even be seeing them do convincing triple DPS at all. So yes, Shatter has been a very big improvement in being added to this team.
I think that's a big part of it. I think Rafa is, we give him grief for being overly aggressive as Lucio, but I think they need that aggressive mentality at the very least. When Liquid struggles, in my opinion, it's, we lost one, we can't fight anymore. And they've actually been able to win fights where it's 4v6, 3v6. They have the raw mechanical skill to pull those things back. I think adding Shatter into that, it's very difficult to play passively on a Genji, so you're already going to be more aggressive to begin with. You saw them holding further forward. You saw them taking fights even when they'd lost one in. That is the edge that Liquid's been missing.
Well, to the point, though, like, what turns around fights when you lose someone early on? In particular, Genji, Tracer.
Yep.
And the reason is that Tracer has the Pulse Bomb X factor where you might be down a person, but AZK finds a way to go into the back line, finds the support, boom, done. Meanwhile, if people are weakened because Mezar is running around as Winston, able to stay alive and weaken people that much, that sets up Shatter for times where you can dash in, get a kill, dash, reset, go from there. So the composition that they're running does lend themselves more to being able to turn around fights where you're already down a player.
Yeah, they don't have to rely on, we just have to land a key ultimate combo to find victory. There are so many more pathways to that. And I think that we talk about enabling their other damage dealers. It enables Mezar. Mezar, I mean, we talked for a long time about how good he is and how he just has been a little bit stifled by the fact that Team Liquid wasn't able to actually pull together all the pieces to find games like this, matches like this. Now, I do want to say that on the other side of things, compLexity has had a rough day. They had internet internet issues. I mean, part of me wants to hope that maybe they were just coming in a little cold, because it definitely was not what we've seen the last couple of weeks. But no matter which way you slice it, Team Liquid now has a path towards victory, getting into the playoffs by picking up this against compLexity. And just for some context, and I'm going to have to refer to my notes because, as it turns out, coming into week 4, the paths to the playoffs are pretty complicated. But Team Liquid, this was one of the things they needed to get. They also need to win it against Immortals and Luminosity, or rather LG Loyal. So we'll be watching those games closely, but this is definitely a step in the right direction. On the other side of things, this actually pushes compLexity down a notch. They're actually now technically in 4th place behind Immortals. Now Immortals are going to be facing up against Renegade, so that's going to be a very telling game. But that definitely has ramifications for compLexity. Any final thoughts? I have one final thought.
It's all yours.
Okay, that's good. I just want to say Joe Meister. He had some boops there towards the end. Like, he really was, I mean, if we're talking about boops of the week, he really was trying to carry his team from that Lucio role. Just got to give him a shout out there. Well, either way, we're going to go to a short break. We've got one more match left for the night. It's going to be Renegades versus Immortals, and more Overwatch yet to be played. We'll see you here in a bit.
Dropping the Earthshatter, gonna be knocking down 3. It's a nice Earthshatter. When to get there, though. Comes out easy. Dragonblade ready for this next fight.
Oh, perhaps compLexity baited into false sets. Grabs on both sides.
That's quite a ground tom, but Nicholas with quite the counter, moving out the barrage, very much solidifying here on the last point. Like Kurt's team looked good there either.
Well, Zhang will come in. This was a huge compLexity.
This is double trouble. Not only have you lost the point to begin with, but you pull this back here, does pick up 2.